Smart 24, driving business.
Hello dear viewers, a very warm welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. You're watching Smart 24 TV and we drive your business. My name is Anthony and I am your host. Remember to check me out on Twitter at Anthony Sebali. You can also get to follow Smart 24 TV at Smart 24 TV. Now the point, of course, we get to analyze several different discussions that are usually locked up in the boardrooms, and we bring them to your viewership so you can try to get a little bit a deeper perspective. And definitely on the point, we get to get feedback from you. We get to, of course, have different guests here and experts discuss some of these topics. Now, to be part of the show, we've just begun, and you can just go to our YouTube live stream. That is at Smart 24 TV Live, and go in the comment section. You can always leave your question, your comment there. We'll definitely be able to get to reach out to our guests here and have it discussed. Today we are talking retirement and saving. Of course, retirement and saving, and of course planning for retirement. Now, old age poverty is real, and in Uganda it can be a really big deal. And if you don't, if you haven't actually been able to understand how much old age poverty has eaten up so many people in Uganda, you can have a look at the statistics, some of which portray very bad results. Now, when you look at current statistics, approximately 85% of active older people engage in crop farming, which is insufficient, especially in providing regular stable incomes, as well as having no social security, according to Uganda Social Protection Platform Policy Brief. Also, in addition, 85% of these older people are in rural areas and living in chronic poverty. Now, these are quite scary statistics. And today, when you talk about social security, when you talk about saving for retirement, you cannot but, of course, give attention to UBRA, the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. Now, this is a statutory body that was established by virtue of Section 2 of the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Act 2011, and that is Act number 5 of 2011. The institution is there to establish, to monitor, to regulate, above all, pension schemes. They license, they also get to regulate the same. And today, joining me to discuss the basics of course, planning for retirement is none other than the people representing UBRA themselves. On my left, I have Miss Lydia Mirembe, who is the Manager of Corporate and Public Affairs at the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. Also, I do have Mr. Mark Strikers Lotuke, thank God I pronounced that, and he is the Senior Supervisor at UBRA as well. Very excited to have you, lady and gentlemen.
Good evening, viewers, and good evening, Mr. Sebali.
Yes, you're very welcome. This is a very, very great moment for me. I think with Miss Lydia here, we've had several chats online, and I've never had to really sit on the same platform and discuss with her. And definitely, I'm very excited and looking forward to this discussion. Mr. Mark, you're very welcome to the show as well, and I hope you're very comfortable and glad to be here as well.
Thank you, and good evening, viewers.
Yes, let's start off with last year. Last year was a very big year for UBRA, I must say. I'm just learning now that you're actually celebrating 11 years, but the celebration was marking 10 years of UBRA. Now, when UBRA came into place, there was a lot of mess in the pension sector, or if you can call it the retirement saving sector. And, UBRA did change the face of the pension schemes. It changed the face of saving for retirement. How has the journey been? And I'll start with you, Mrs. Lydia. How can you shed for us the journey that UBRA has taken, especially giving us some of the objectives, some of the achievements, that UBRA has been able to achieve?
Okay, thank you very much, Anthony. Good evening, viewers, and it's always good to interact with viewers of Smart 24 TV because we have so many things in common. We have so many common interests as Ugandans, but also as people who are aspiring for good retirement. So I'm happy to be here, and thank you very much, Anthony, for inviting us over to discuss comprehensively the matter of retirement planning. So you asked about UBRA. You rightly mentioned that last year we marked our 10th anniversary. It actually should have been marked in 2020. Wow. However, because of the COVID situation...
2021, I think.
2021, yeah. Because of the COVID situation, we were unable to celebrate, so we postponed it to when life was easier and nerves were less jangled. Yeah. So that's when we did our anniversary. But indeed, we were established in 2011, as you've mentioned. So we are really moving towards our 13th year. Yeah. And UBRA was established to oversee the sector, the retirement benefits sector. Retirement benefits is exactly what its name reflects. When somebody works and works and works over many years, a time comes when they are unable to exert themselves anymore in full-time employment. Yeah. So they retire. Legally in Uganda, retirement for public servants happens at age 60. For private sector, retirement happens at age 55. But that's about age. Sometimes people may retire because of other situations. They may be forced to get out of active employment. Maybe they may get very ill and they're unable to work anymore. So that sector which takes care of that area called retirement benefits, planning, saving, was, before the establishment of UBRA, largely unregulated. Many organizations, many institutions, many individuals used to pose as managers, custodians, friends of prospective retirees, but they did not have any regulation to put them in line, put them in order. So some of them would be unscrupulous, some of them would mismanage the funds they have collected, some of them would outrightly embezzle the funds. The sector was wrought with so many scandals, people, outright corruption, let me say, wastage and mismanagement of people's savings. And that was because the sector was unregulated. So government, in its wisdom, decided that for this sector to operate meaningfully and to contribute to the economy meaningfully, it's important for it to be regulated. So there were studies about the sector reform, what is necessary, what laws do we require, what structures do we require. There was a lot of benchmarking from countries that have been there before us. And then we came up, at the end of the whole process, we came with this outcome called UBRA. Yeah. So UBRA oversees the retirement benefits sector and all the actors that play in that space. Yeah. There are many people who take care of our retirement benefits. We have trustees, we have custodians, we have fund managers, we have administrators, all of these people, and other service providers. They all are operating in that space, doing different things for us as savers, prospective retirees. So UBRA does the oversight role. Our main mandate is to supervise, to regulate and supervise that sector and everybody who operates in that sector. Yeah. We've been doing that for over 10 years now. We'll be making 13 in October. Wow. Yeah, and it has been a very interesting journey. We've managed to reorganize this sector and set standards for it. Everybody will bear me witness that all of those past scandals that I have made mention of and the ones that I haven't mentioned, they are now, if not totally eradicated, significantly alleviated. Yeah. And that's because of the standards that we have set, the regulations that we have put in place, and the supervision, the very strict supervision, which has ensured that all the actors in that space comply with the standards in order to provide a very good service for Ugandans. And what's the ultimate aim? The ultimate aim is that all the people in this country who save for retirement, who commit to save for retirement, they get a very good outcome at the end of the day. That they get their funds when their retirement age comes, they can access their funds easily and with a good return on investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so in summary, that is what we do.
Well,
there's a lot more, but we shall talk about
absolutely.
it as we go along.
There's someone already who was asking online that what's gratuity and the lump sum and all that. I think we are going to get there. But let's get to Mr. Mark Lotuke here. You're the senior supervisor at UBRA. Tell us about your experience, first of all, with UBRA and how you've seen the pension sector evolve in Uganda. When you look at the time UBRA started, we were talking about only about 2 pension schemes, or even one, that was National Social Security Fund. And there was an outcry from Ugandans to liberalize the sector, to have more private sector players, to have more pension schemes coming in from the private sector. What do you think this journey, how far do you think this journey has gone currently, in as far as especially the liberalization of the pension sector is concerned?
Thank you, Anthony. Good evening, viewers. As my colleague has already highlighted, UBRA was established in 2011 by an act of parliament to regulate and supervise the establishment, management, and operations of retirement benefit schemes, both in the public and the private sector. Personally, even before I joined UBRA, I worked in the financial sector and was still involved in management of pensions. And what I can say is that it has been a very important journey for the country, because as my colleague has already highlighted, there were a lot of challenges in the pension space in terms of, to start with, limited coverage. Because what is very important is to realize that retirement is a very important aspect of life, but it's always ignored because someone always thinks it is coming after many years, but before you know it, it really gets and catches up with you. So there were very many challenges that were supposed to be addressed. One of them is there are very few people who were covered, and also there were very small schemes. People were saving little, so that means the benefits were not adequate. And then, of course, now in terms of the public service pension scheme, there were so many scandals, people would not be paid. And also, of course, it's still a financial burden to government. I think we'll get into that details later. But most importantly, inefficiencies in governance of the retirement benefit schemes which existed by then. There were quite a number, but of course unknown. Very many organizations operated retirement benefit schemes in one way or the other, but they were in the hands of the employers. And most times these members would be at the mercy of those employers. So if you left and maybe you didn't live on a good record, you would go with nothing. Yeah. Yet someone has actually earned whatever they contributed to that scheme. So there were a lot of governance inefficiencies. So the journey of UBRA is that in the first 5 to 6 years of UBRA's operation, we concentrated on putting right the governance structures, the trustees, the service providers. Basically, every year we would have like more than 2 trainings. First, to make people understand, because when they don't understand what it's all about, it will be difficult to manage. And also, as a regulator, we cannot micromanage every scheme. So we need to empower the fiduciary persons that the actors empowered to manage the schemes, and those are trustees, and also the service providers that Lydia already highlighted, the custodians, fund managers, administrators. So we have to concentrate on governance, because with good governance, all the other aspects of the schemes will automatically fall in place. So having put into place somehow good governance structures, of course, that also now means that we have now proceeded now to other prudential aspects of managing, looking at the investments, looking at the financial management, now looking at the finer details that basically impact now on how these schemes can provide sufficient benefits for members at retirement. So as we speak, of course, without going to other statistics that may come later, we have seen exponential growth from the time UBRA started of more than 5 times in terms of the assets, membership, and also in terms of the benefits that our members now are paid. So there has been a very meaningful journey in the sector. Of course, we are still pushing more to coverage. The limitation for us to manage the coverage is that most of our population, as we know, is in the informal sector. And pushing coverage in the informal sector is a big challenge, but as UBRA, of course, that's one area that we are now concentrating. Since the governance structures are in place, the formal sector somehow, we believe, is now running in the way we expect. So,
Mr. Lotuke, the question of liberalization, there has been, when UBRA was established in 2011, one of the biggest questions was whether the benefits sector, the retirement benefits sector would be successfully liberalized. Would you say 10 years later, right now, the retirement benefits sector is a liberal sector?
It's yes and no. Of course, one of the reasons, one of the push for that liberalization was still because of those challenges. So if you're seeing you 2 or 3 schemes, and these 2 or 3 schemes are not doing what they are supposed to do, one of the things everyone will think about is maybe if we had other alternatives, if we had other schemes, we'd be able to have competition and probably service delivery would be improved. And the main target of that liberalization was on the mandatory benefits or contributions that we make to the National Social Security Fund, where the suggestion was that some percentage a member can choose whichever scheme they want to take those benefits. But in terms of that, it has not yet been achieved because all the mandatory benefits still go to NSSF. But in terms of opening up the space for other schemes to set up, that as UBRA has encouraged the evolving of the voluntary schemes, where even if you are in another scheme, you can still join the voluntary schemes if you want to increase your benefits, because at the end of it all, you are looking at the adequacy of the benefits at the end of it all. So it's not bad to join more than one scheme. The more you have, the better.
So that was the other question. Would someone back then be able to join more than one scheme?
Back then, no, but
not really.
But now there are very many options.
Wow. We're coming back to that. Thank you so much. And we are taking a very short breather. My name is Anthony. Remember, today we are talking, we are having a comprehensive look at the retirement planning and savings. And we are with UBRA, the regulators of the space. And when we return, we talk a little bit more about some of the things you need to know if you're to save with a scheme, some of the things you need to know about those saving schemes and how they are actually run. These are big investment schemes. They do invest in various sectors, and we are going to get to look at some of that when we do return. Remember to hit us up on YouTube at Smart24 TV Live and stay tuned. My name is Anthony. Stay with us.
Smart 20.